The first sound you hear is not birdsong. It is softer, a hum beneath the hum, a whisper that rises and falls with the rhythm of your breath. You stand at the edge of a forest, and the air feels thick with quiet intelligence. The trees move slowly, like they are dreaming in daylight. Each leaf catches a thread of sunlight and holds it for a moment, a pause so still. It feels like the entire world is taking one long, deep inhale. You breathe in, too. The air enters your lungs cool and sweet, filled with something that feels more than air, something alive, deliberate, ancient dot. This is the whisper of green, the voice of photosynthesis. You don't see it, not yet, but you feel it in your chest. It hums with the pulse of your own heart, as though your body recognizes a pattern it has always known. You take a step forward, and the light changes. The forest seems to gather around you. Beams of gold pierce the canopy, sliding down in ribbons that sway with the wind. Tiny particles drift lazily through the shafts of light, dust, pollen. Perhaps even the faint shimmer of oxygen just born. You look up and notice how the leaves seem to turn themselves toward the sun, like worshippers facing a divine warmth. Every surface, every cell is angled perfectly to catch the glow. The geometry of life has been rehearsed for billions of years. This is not chance, it is choreography. Somewhere inside each leaf, light is about to become life. And that realization makes the air taste different, like you are breathing time itself. You sit down, resting your back against the bark of a tall tree. It feels alive, slow, patient, steady. You close your eyes and imagine the unseen world inside the green. There are cells as tiny as dreams, each one a microcosm, a world within a world. Inside them, something miraculous unfolds every second of the day. Sunlight, water, and air, 3 simple ingredients. Yet together they build forests, oceans, your body, and every creature that has ever lived. This is photosynthesis, but you will not call it that yet. For now, it is simply the art of turning light into breath. The air grows still, you listen, and in that silence, you begin to sense what cannot be seen. Imagine a leaf, thin, green, delicate. Its skin glistens with dew, each droplet a lens focusing sunlight down into the veins. Beneath the surface lies a labyrinth, tiny chambers filled with moisture, gas, and light. You drift into that labyrinth, sliding down through invisible pores called stomata. They open and close like gentle mouths, breathing for the plant, breathing for you. Through those openings, carbon dioxide slips in, a molecule floating aimlessly through the air until now. It will soon become something solid, something living. You follow it, weightless and curious. Inside the leaf, everything glows with emerald light. You see cells, each one a small bubble of life, and within them, structures that look like stacks of green coins, the chloroplasts. They shimmer softly, as though made of liquid glass. These are the green engines of Earth, tiny factories that have powered life for nearly 3 billion years. Here, sunlight becomes chemistry. Light waves arrive, striking molecules of chlorophyll. For a heartbeat, energy dances through electrons, a pure pulse of motion that sets the whole cell vibrating. It feels almost alive, like the leaf is sighing in gratitude. You realize something profound. This process, this quiet, constant miracle, is happening everywhere, all the time. In forests, in meadows, in gardens and algae-covered ponds. Even as you lie here listening, Trillions of chloroplasts across the planet are catching photons from the sun and turning them into the sugars that feed every living thing. Without it, there would be no breath to take, no green to see, no you at all. Photosynthesis is the first bridge between the lifeless and the living, the transformation that taught the universe to make food from light, and yet it is so gentle. It asks for nothing but sunlight and air, and gives back oxygen in visible kindness, exhaled into the world. You imagine the oxygen forming inside the leaf, a byproduct of light's touch. It bubbles gently, gathering until it slips free, rising through the air like a prayer. That same molecule might one day reach your lungs. The breath you take now could be the exhalation of a tree on another continent. Every inhale is a reunion. You feel that connection, the way your breath and the forest's breath are one continuous loop. You exhale, and the trees inhale. They exhale, and you live. The balance is so perfect, so ancient, that it feels like a lullaby the earth has been singing since the beginning. The melody of light becoming life. A soft breeze stirs the branches above. You open your eyes, and for a moment the whole canopy shimmers, a sea of green light in motion. Each leaf seems to catch and release the sun in rhythm, as if breathing in slow unison with the world. You realize you've been breathing to that same rhythm all along. Your thoughts slow. You begin to feel the time scale of plants, not minutes or hours, but the patient unfolding of light and shade. A day for them is an eternity of quiet work, a season, an epic of growth. You start to understand the pace of life from their perspective, not rushed, not forced, but steady and enduring. You remember the word photosynthesis now. Photo means light. Synthesis means to put together. Light put together. The simplest translation, and yet the most beautiful truth. The act of weaving light into life. It makes you think of your own body, how everything you are, every muscle and memory was built from food that once came from sunlight. Plants make sugar, animals eat plants, and you, in turn, are made of their gathered light. You are a continuation of the sun's work. You are walking sunlight, slowed into thought and breath. You glance up at a patch of sky framed by branches. The light seems endless, a stream that never stops flowing, traveling from a star 93 million miles away just to touch a leaf for the briefest moment. And in that touch, the universe remembers itself. Energy becomes matter. Matter becomes life. Life becomes awareness. And awareness looks back at the light in wonder. That circle from photon to thought is the essence of everything. And it all begins with green dot. You close your eyes again. In the darkness behind your eyelids, you can almost see it. The pulsing of chloroplasts, the shimmering of captured sunlight. They spin slowly, like galaxies in miniature, each one turning light into nourishment. You realize that the leaf is not separate from you. You are part of the same exchange, the same endless conversation between the sun and the earth. Even your breath carries the rhythm of photosynthesis, inhaling what plants release, exhaling what they need. It feels sacred, this symmetry, so simple yet so complete. You reach down and touch the moss at your side. It feels cool, damp, alive. Tiny green threads stretch upward, catching faint sunlight that filters through the canopy. Even here, in the dim understory, photosynthesis continues, patient, unhurried. The moss has been doing this for hundreds of millions of years. It doesn't need much, just enough light to whisper back to the sky, I am here. I am alive. You smile, realizing the same could be said of you. Somewhere nearby, a single leaf breaks loose and begins to fall. You watch it drift downward in slow spirals, light catching on its edges like gold dust. When it lands, it rests softly on the soil, a quiet return, a giving back. Even in its fall, it feeds the future. What the leaf built from light will now nourish the roots below. The circle continues, complete and effortless. You rest your head against the bark again, feeling the slow heartbeat of the tree beneath you. It has stood here for decades, catching sunlight every day, breathing out the air you breathe in now. Its roots reach deep into the dark, where unseen life hums in soil and stone. Its leaves reach high into the light. Between them, you find yourself suspended, half in shadow, half in sun, and it feels right, balanced, as if you've stepped into the precise rhythm the planet moves to. You breathe once more, slower now. Each inhale feels fuller, deeper, as though the forest itself is breathing you. The sound of leaves brushing against one another becomes hypnotic. A language without words, a story without time. You think of how every green thing is telling this same story. In fields and jungles and gardens across the world, a whisper that began long before you were born and will continue long after you're gone. Light, water, air, a trinity of existence, endlessly recycled. Creation as a kind of breathing, and as your mind drifts, the words begin to fade. All that remains is the feeling, the calm, patient hum of green. It fills your senses, a lullaby made of photons and leaves. A rhythm older than memory. The whisper of green continues, and you let yourself be carried by it, down into stillness, down into rest. You begin to wonder, softly, what the light must feel like the moment it first touches a leaf. The instant energy becomes life. That quiet miracle is waiting to unfold in the next chapter, where sunlight finally meets the living surface, and the story of transformation truly begins. The morning light arrives slowly. It does not rush. It slips between clouds like a sigh, a soft gold spilling across leaves that are still damp with night. You stand at the edge of that light, feeling the warmth gather against your skin, a quiet invitation to witness something eternal. The forest seems to awaken molecule by molecule. Every droplet of dew begins to shimmer, every blade of grass leans toward brightness, and the leaves open themselves to the sky like 1,000 small hearts remembering how to beat. You breathe in. The air feels charged, not with sound or motion, but with presence. Somewhere above you, a single photon leaves the sun, a particle so small it carries no rest, only movement, only purpose. You imagine following it, leaving the stars' blazing surface, drifting across the black ocean of space. The photon travels for 8 minutes and 20 seconds, crossing 93 million miles without slowing. It carries a tiny packet of energy, the smallest breath of fire from the heart of a star. It does not know where it's going, only that it will keep moving until it is caught. Perhaps by your skin, perhaps by water, or perhaps, today, by a leaf. You picture it landing, a single beam of light brushing the green surface of a living cell. That moment, that touch, is the beginning of life as the earth knows it. The leaf glows faintly. You can almost see the shimmer where light meets chlorophyll. It feels like watching a secret handshake between the cosmos and the earth. Inside that thin layer of green, the photon's journey continues, from energy to reaction, from wave to spark. It enters the chloroplast, that soft, jelly-like chamber inside the plant cell. and something astonishing begins. The photon strikes a molecule of chlorophyll. The molecule trembles, its electrons lift into motion, a dance of energy so small and fast that it seems unreal. But that tremor, that flash, is how sunlight becomes alive. One by one, photons pour in, each striking a pigment, each shaking the molecule awake. And together they create an invisible storm of motion. Light turned into charge, brightness turned into life force. The leaf does not see this happen, and neither do you. But if you close your eyes, you can almost feel it. A faint electric hum beneath the surface of things. It's the same energy that once burned in stars, now diffused into the gentleness of a forest morning. Each cell of the leaf contains hundreds of chloroplasts, and each chloroplast contains pigments, molecules perfectly shaped to catch sunlight's frequency. The main one is chlorophyll, the deep green that defines the world's color. It is tuned like an instrument to catch the reds and blues of light, reflecting back only the green we see. That reflection is not just color, it's the echo of absorption. The leaf glows green because it is busy consuming everything else. You follow the energy deeper. When chlorophyll catches light, its electrons leap to a higher state, momentarily unstable, trembling with new strength. But nature never wastes energy. Those excited electrons are immediately handed off, passed like notes in a grand chemical symphony. The process is so elegant, so fluid, that scientists call it the light reaction. Water molecules, waiting patiently inside the leaf, are split apart in this moment. Hydrogen stays, oxygen drifts away, the breath the leaf will gift to the sky. This splitting of water is not violence. It is a gentle parting, a molecular rearrangement orchestrated by light. And from that rearrangement, energy is born in a usable form. ATP and NADPH, tiny molecular batteries, charged with sunlight. They will travel to the next stage of the leaf's work, turning air into sugar. But that comes later. For now, you linger in the light. You imagine those electrons flowing like a river through the leaf. They move across membranes, pushing protons, building gradients, creating potential, the kind of quiet power that drives every living thing. It is not a thunderstorm of energy. It is more like a pulse, steady, rhythmic, alive. You begin to see how this microscopic motion mirrors your own heartbeat. Electrical pulses travel through your cells, to neurons sending signals, muscles contracting, thoughts forming. It is all the same principle, energy moving through matter, guided by pattern and design. The light that touches the leaf is the same light that powers your brain. You and the tree are both extensions of the same spark. A soft wind passes through the forest canopy. The leaves shimmer, and you notice how they never compete for light. They tilt and shift in perfect coordination, each finding its place in the radiance. No leaf blocks another. They move as one organism, one green architecture designed to share. You think of your own life, how sunlight falls unevenly upon people, some in shadow, some in glow, and yet, within nature, light always finds balance. Perhaps that's what this forest has been trying to teach all along. There is enough light for everyone. If we learn how to share it. You take a slow breath. The air feels warm now, touched by the morning sun. Each inhale carries oxygen just released from the leaves above. It's a direct exchange, your lungs completing a process that began in You are literally breathing the memory of light. You exhale, and the carbon dioxide you release will drift upward until it finds a leaf ready to take it in again. The circle closes. Light, air, water, breath, an eternal conversation between you and the green. Somewhere deep inside the leaf, the light reactions are still at work. Electrons jump, hydrogen gathers, oxygen escapes. Every moment, billions of these exchanges happen silently. If sound could travel at that scale, the leaf would hum like a chorus of small bells. But the music remains inaudible, a song made only for those who listen with stillness. You stay quiet, and the forest answers. The hum becomes real, not as sound, but as vibration, a feeling that moves through the air like a slow heartbeat. You begin to wonder about the journey of light itself. For billions of years, photons have traveled outward from the sun, some caught by stone, some by ocean, some by eyes that learnt to see. Perhaps this is the deepest purpose of light, to be witnessed, to illuminate, to remind life that it exists. When you open your eyes again, the forest is brighter, the greens more vivid. You notice how each leaf is slightly different, some waxy, some soft, some veined with tiny rivers. Yet all of them are doing the same thing, catching light, storing energy, turning the invisible into the tangible. You realize that photosynthesis is not just a process. It's a memory, a repetition of something the universe has always known. How to turn energy into form. How to make light last. Your thoughts drift back to the photon, that first traveler from the sun. Its journey ends here, inside this leaf, inside this quiet morning. It has given itself completely, its energy absorbed, transformed, never wasted. And yet, in that surrender, the photon achieves something extraordinary. It becomes part of life. Its energy will flow through the plant, into sugars, into fruit, into your hands when you eat. From sunlight to cell, from cell to thought, the photon becomes you. Light does not end when it's absorbed. It continues in blood, in breath, in consciousness. Perhaps that is what makes all life glow faintly, not metaphorically, but literally, as faint biochemical light called bio. Every cell in your body emits a trace of it, a whisper of the original sunlight that built you. You are luminous, even in sleep. You stand now beneath the full strength of the morning. The forest is radiant, yet soft, bathed in light that seems to move slower than time. Shadows dissolve gently, and every surface glows with life. You feel it, a spreading warmth that doesn't just touch your skin, but enters you like the forest is breathing you in return. The leaf trembles slightly in the wind. You watch it catch another wave of light, another ancient traveler finding purpose, and you understand the sun is not distant. It lives here, in every leaf, in every cell, in every heartbeat. The light touches the leaf, and in doing so, touches you. You close your eyes once more, letting the warmth settle. Your mind drifts, weightless in the golden haze. Thoughts slow into rhythm. You feel your body soften, a small ecosystem of quiet reactions, echoing the leaf's patient work. You imagine the light within you, how your cells take energy, how your breath fuels it, how everything you are is sustained by the inheritance of sunlight. Your blood carries the memory of leaves. Your breath carries the echo of forests. Your thoughts are photons, shaped into language. The world breathes with you. You are part of the same luminous thread. The forest grows still again. Somewhere in the distance, a bird calls once, then silence returns, wide, deep, complete. You let the quiet wrap around you like the gentle warmth of the sun itself. The story of light continues, moving deeper into the leaf toward the next great transformation, when energy becomes substance, when the invisible becomes tangible, when air itself is turned into food. You will follow that journey soon, but for now, you rest in the afterglow, the space between photon and breath. Everything hums softly, the trees, the air, your heartbeat. A world made of light, gently falling asleep. You drift deeper into the leaf's inner world. The warmth of sunlight still hums within, waiting to meet the cool breath of the sky. Here, carbon from your own exhale begins its quiet transformation from invisible gas to living sweetness, from air to matter. You witness the softest miracle, the creation of life from nothing but light and air. The leaf is still beneath your hand. Its surface feels smooth and alive, a silent engine powered by warmth and breath. Inside, a new chapter of the story unfolds. One that begins not with light, but with air dot. You inhale, and somewhere between your lungs and the open world, your breath joins the wind. Invisible, effortless, your exhale becomes a traveler of its own. Each molecule of carbon dioxide drifts upward, carried by invisible currents, searching for a place to belong. High above, the air is thick with these wanderers. Billions of tiny, carbon-based seeds floating through the sky, the residue of life, the promise of rebirth. One of them finds a leaf. The underside of every leaf hides 1,000 small mouths. They open and close like slow blinks, breathing the world in and out. These openings, stomata, are the portals between atmosphere and life. Through them, carbon dioxide enters, slipping past waxy skin into the green labyrinth within. You imagine yourself shrinking, smaller than a raindrop, smaller than a dust mote, until you can drift through one of those tiny doors. The air feels thick and shimmering. Sunlight hums in the distance, the energy from the last chapter, still waiting, still pulsing. You follow a single carbon dioxide molecule as it drifts through the airy corridors of the leaf. It moves without hurry, as if it knows the way. Soon it reaches the chloroplasts, those emerald chambers bathed in light. Here, the dance begins. The light reactions you witnessed before have filled this place with energy. ATP and NADPH, small invisible carriers of sunlight, float like glowing coins through the fluid interior. Now, they are ready to be spent. The carbon dioxide molecule pauses, waiting for its moment. A quiet rhythm fills the space, the slow ticking of the Calvin cycle, the heart of photosynthesis. It begins with a single molecule called ribulose bisphosphate, a 5-carbon structure waiting like an open hand. An enzyme, ancient and patient, guides the meeting. Its name is ribosio, and though it works without thought or will, it is the most abundant protein on Earth, the great weaver of the air. The carbon dioxide touches the RuBP, and in that instant, the invisible becomes tangible. They merge, their atoms rearranging in a delicate chemical ballet. It is not violent. It is as gentle as a sigh. You are witnessing creation in its purest form, matter forming from breath. The reaction is fleeting. The new compound, unstable, splits immediately into 2 smaller pieces, 3 carbon shapes, known as 3PGA. They drift through the chloroplast's starlit sea. Bathed in the glow of stored sunlight, energy pours in. ATP gives it strength. 9pH donates its electrons, tiny sparks passed hand to hand in the quiet ceremony of transformation. The molecules twist, fold, and change again, until they become G3P, glyceraldehyde, 3-phosphate, the building block of sugar, of cellulose, of you. Out of air and light, a seed of matter is born. You linger here, watching as countless carbon atoms find new homes within the molecular web. Some join to form glucose, 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, 6 oxygens, a perfect balance, a mirrored echo of water and air. Others will join to make starch, a storehouse of sunlight buried in roots. Some will build the cellulose walls that give the tree its shape. And some, millions of steps later, will flow into the fruit you might eat one day, or the grain that becomes your bread. You realize that every bite of food is the memory of sunlight woven into form by this quiet chemistry. Photosynthesis is not distant science. It is the act that makes you possible. You drift among the carbon threads. They shimmer like golden silk in the green twilight. Everything here moves slowly, rhythmically, as though the leaf is breathing in time with the earth. The Calvin cycle spins endlessly, carbon in, sugar out, a wheel of creation that never stops turning. Each rotation feeds another, like waves repeating across the ocean. There is no waste, no urgency, only balance. You begin to understand that nature's genius is not in speed, but in patience. The leaf waits for light, for air, for water, and when they arrive, it weaves them together with quiet precision. It does not take more than it needs. It does not rush the outcome. It simply trusts the rhythm of the sun. Outside the leaf, the forest sways gently in the wind. You open your eyes and see movement everywhere, branches stretching, insects gliding, birds cutting through the morning light. And beneath it all, a pulse you can almost feel, the slow heartbeat of the green world. Powered by photosynthesis, every tree, every blade of grass, every breath of oxygen is born from this same alchemy. Even the air that fills your lungs was once part of a leaf's patient work. You begin to sense your own place in this endless exchange. You breathe out what the leaf needs. The leaf breathes out what you need. It is not a transaction, but a partnership, a shared act of survival written into the fabric of life. Back inside the leaf, the G3P molecules drift outward. Some leave the chloroplast, entering the wider network of the plant's veins. Here enzymes link them together, forming the first simple sugars. The leaf sends these sugars downward, feeding the roots buried in darkness. It sends others upward, toward buds and blossoms and fruit. Light, turned into sweetness, travels through the plant like a message in the cool shade beneath the tree. You can almost taste it, that faint, earthy sweetness in the air, the perfume of sunlight stored in matter. You think about how everything you have ever eaten is the continuation of this same process. Plants take light, turn it into food. Animals eat plants, and in time, you eat both. Every atom in your body was once part of air, water, and sunlight. You are walking photosynthesis, a moving echo of green. You rest now beneath the tree, listening to its slow breathing. You imagine the carbon atoms inside you, billions of them, each one ancient, each one having traveled through air, leaf, fire, and bone. Some of your carbon was once part of the first forests. Some might have been in the lungs of a whale, or the shell of a long-gone coral. Carbon never disappears. It only changes homes. You are part of that great migration, a single step in the carbon's infinite journey. Inside the leaf, the process continues. The wheel turns again, light waiting to meet air, air waiting to meet light. Every second, trillions of these moments happen silently. transforming chaos into order, emptiness into abundance. The leaf never claims ownership. It simply creates and releases and creates again. The forest grows warmer. Light filters through the canopy in golden threads, and for a moment, you imagine you can see the sugars flowing through the trees, a slow river of light moving through veins of wood. You realize how interconnected everything truly is, that when you touch a leaf, you are also touching sunlight and air and time. You think of how this single process holds the world together. Without photosynthesis, there would be no oxygen, no food, no warmth. The planet would be silent and still. But instead, it sings in the hush of leaves, in the rhythm of breathing, in the pulse of the heart. The alchemy of air is the heartbeat of life itself. Asterisk. You close your eyes, and the sounds of the forest grow distant. In your mind, you return to that inner world, the glowing chambers of the leaf, the quiet hum of creation. You drift beside the molecules as they fold and merge and transform, each one a small act of devotion to life. There is no sound, no urgency, only motion and stillness interwoven, like waves upon a sleeping shore. The carbon you exhaled becomes part of a leaf. The sugar the leaf makes becomes part of you. The circle closes again, beautiful, endless, quiet. You understand now that life is not built from grand events, but from these tiny, patient exchanges. Light touching air, air becoming form, form returning to air again. The day deepens. Shadows lengthen. The light on the leaves softens from gold to green to grey. The work continues unseen. The alchemy never stops. Not for night, not for sleep. In the darkness, the sugars made by day flow gently through the plant, feeding its cells, keeping it alive until dawn. You feel your own body following the same rhythm, breathing slow, heart steady, rest settling in like cool air through open branches. You think of tomorrow's sunlight, already on its way from the sun's surface, ready to begin the story again. The photons will travel across space, and some will find this same leaf, this same moment, continuing the quiet work of creation, and you will breathe again, sending your carbon back into the sky, trusting the leaves to turn it once more into sweetness, into life, into the stillness where everything begins. The forest dims, but the air remains bright with memory. The green fades into shadow, and somewhere deep inside the leaf, the Calvin cycle keeps spinning, slow, eternal, patient. You drift with it, feeling your own breath fall into rhythm. Light becomes air, air becomes life, life becomes light again. You let that thought carry you into the quiet of night, where everything, every leaf, every breath, every star, waits for dawn. Asterisk. The sugars born from light begin to move. They drift through green veins and quiet roots, feeding the unseen body of the tree, carrying sunlight in liquid form. You follow their path, a slow, glowing river within the plant, and feel how its rhythm mirrors your own pulse. The leaf still glimmers from the work of day. The sun has lowered, and yet inside, movement continues, silent, invisible, unbroken. The sugars, newly made from air and light, are leaving their birthplace. They slide through tiny channels, flowing downward and outward, toward every living cell that waits. You can almost hear it if you listen deeply enough, a faint whisper beneath the bark, the murmur of a current too delicate for sound. This is the phloem, the living river of the plant. Its channels run like veins, threading leaf to stem to root. What flows inside them is not water alone, but sweetness, the memory of sunlight turned fluid. You close your eyes and imagine shrinking again, down, down, until you stand within that green interior. It's dimly lit, the walls glistening with gentle motion. Molecules drift in clusters, their golden forms shimmering like embers carried by a tide. They are sugars, glucose, sucrose, starch, each born from the meeting of light and air. Now they travel, their destination. Everywhere you step into the stream, it moves slowly, deliberately. Each molecule slides past, linking hands with water, riding the gentle pressure built by the leaf's breath. The flow feels warm, not in temperature, but in essence. It is the warmth of stored light, the comfort of sustenance. The phloem's walls pulse faintly. Cells called sieve tubes stand in chains, each separated by a thin screen, a sieve plate, through which the sugars pass with grace. Companion cells, like caretakers, stand guard beside each one, keeping the flow alive. There is cooperation in every inch of this system, a quiet generosity. Life feeding life. You sense the pattern, repeating light becomes sugar. Sugar becomes motion. Motion becomes nourishment. There is rhythm here, a heartbeat too vast to measure. The stream winds downward through the stem, carrying sweetness to the shaded parts of the plant. Along the way, small chambers open, cells waiting to drink from the river. Some will use the sugar immediately, turning it into energy through respiration. Others will store it as starch, tucking it away like a dream to be awakened by hunger. Even in the roots, deep underground, this same light flows. The earth around them is dark, but inside the roots there is the quiet gleam of energy. The sun's echo in subterranean form. You think of how the plant never wastes. Every cell, from tip to root, knows exactly what it needs. Some take a trickle, some a flood. The distribution is perfect, balanced by gradients of need and abundance. It is a lesson in grace, how to move energy without greed. Asterisk. Outside, the wind shifts. The leaves rustle softly, their gentle friction sounding like flowing water. Perhaps this is how the tree remembers its inner rivers, mirroring sound and movement. The visible echo of what happens within. You touch the trunk, feeling its cool solidity, and imagine the flow beneath your palm. Sugars rising, falling, branching, converging, a slow, endless circulation. It is not unlike your own bloodstream. Both are vessels of exchange. Both carry what was once light to every corner of a living being. In this reflection, you feel kinship, the plant, and you, two versions of the same design. One breathes in what the other exhales. One gives form to what the other consumes. Your pulse, its flow, different languages of the same conversation. Inside the leaf, some of the sugars stay behind. They gather in small crystalline pools, ready for nights when clouds hide the sun. Photosynthesis rests after dusk, but the stored energy keeps the plant alive. Even in darkness, there is continuity. Energy moves from what was to what will be, uninterrupted. This continuity feels familiar. Your body stores the day's abundance, glucose in blood, glycogen in muscle and liver. You, too, live between feast and reserve, light and rest, production and stillness. Every breath, every heartbeat is a miniature version of the tree's internal tide. You realize that metabolism and photosynthesis are twin reflections, the giving and receiving halves of the same rhythm. When you inhale oxygen and eat, You are completing the work the leaf began. You release carbon. It gathers it back. You draw energy from sugar. It makes more from air. Together, you form the circuit of life's energy flow, a cycle that began long before you were born, and will continue long after you sleep. You wander deeper through the imagined vessel of the tree. The phloem river passes through junctions, forks where some of the stream turns, outward to nourish a budding flower or a swelling fruit. There, in the bud, the sugar slows, pooling like syrup in a glass bowl. It feeds the forming petals, the tiny heart of future color. In the fruit, it thickens and sweetens, becoming the taste of sunlight you will one day know. You picture an apple, red and fragrant, its flesh firm with stored radiance. That sweetness is not simple. It is time, condensed. It is air and water and warmth woven together by patience. When you bite into it, you are tasting the flow you now witness. The river of energy that began as a photon, traveled through leaf and stem, and found home in fruit. The flow continues, bellow. Through narrow root channels, the sugars travel to the plant's foundation. Here, in the cool soil, they meet a hidden network, mycorrhizal fungi, filaments finer than hair, stretching through the earth like lace. The roots and fungi exchange offerings, sugar for minerals, energy for nourishment. It is another partnership, another gentle reciprocity. Asterisk. You can almost feel the hum of this network, a web that connects tree to tree, forest to forest. Through it, messages travel, warnings, invitations, exchanges of care. A fallen tree still feeds others through its roots, its final sugars becoming sustenance for neighbors. In this way, nothing in the forest truly ends. Energy only changes hands, softly, endlessly. You sit quietly and realize that all of life is an act of distribution. Energy must move to remain alive. When it is hoarded, it stagnates. When it flows, it nourishes. The tree teaches this without words. Its rivers of sweetness run without resistance. They flow because flow is their purpose. You think of your own life again, the currents of attention, emotion, thought. They, too, must move. Holding them too tightly turns them heavy. Letting them pass transforms them into growth. Perhaps energy, in any form, only becomes beautiful when it is shared as the day fades. The tree continues its silent circulation. Above, the leaves rest. Below, the roots breathe slowly. Inside, the sugar stream glows faintly, like a constellation beneath the bark. If you could see through the wood, you would find a galaxy of motion, light transformed into sweetness, flowing through organic stars. Night deepens. The forest breathes in unison. You feel the same rhythm in your chest, your heartbeat echoing the pulse of the tree's phloem. Both are rivers carrying the memory of light. You lie back against the trunk, your body and the tree's body aligned. For a moment, you feel the shared flow between you, oxygen leaving your lungs, carbon leaving your breath, both carried away to be renewed, recycled into the same patient system. There is no boundary here, no end or beginning, only movement. Only exchange. In the half-light of your mind, you drift along the inner current. Sugars flow around you, their glow soft and continuous. Each molecule whispers its history, born of air, shaped by light, carried by time. They will soon enter new forms: wood, fruit, soil, perhaps even you. The boundary between giver and receiver dissolves. All energy is borrowed, never owned. This thought brings peace. You no longer feel the need to hold or define. You simply float, carried by the same current that nourishes the forest, somewhere ahead. The current widens into a luminous stillness. The sugars slow, their glow softening until it becomes warmth. You recognize this place, the edge where energy meets rest. It is the threshold before transformation, where one kind of motion turns into another. Asterisk. You rest there too, feeling the light of the day settle into you, stored, waiting, ready for the next breath, the next dawn. The forest outside is quiet now. Moonlight replaces sunlight, a silver echo of the same energy. Within the tree, the flow continues, slower, deeper, a midnight heartbeat. You breathe with it. You realize that even in sleep, the work of life continues, the subtle movement of sugar through veins, the endless renewal that never stops. This is what endurance truly means, not striving, but steady flow. You let your thoughts become as fluid as those inner rivers, drifting, spiraling, until all you feel is movement, soft, ceaseless. Healing, you hear the forest exhale. A breeze passes through the leaves, and for a heartbeat, you imagine you can hear the sap itself, flowing like a distant lullaby. The sound fades into silence. You remain still, half dreaming, half dash awake. Tomorrow, the light will return. The sugars will rise again, the river will quicken, and the story will continue from leaf to root, from tree to breath, from you back to the stars. But for now, you rest within the current, weightless, luminous, a small vessel in the great river of life. Asterisk. Water moves like a whisper through all living things. It rises from leaf and sea, drifts as mist, returns as rain. Each droplet carries memory of clouds, rivers, roots, and breath. You follow water's endless journey and realize it is the earth's softest voice. It speaks in evaporation and return, in calmness and flow. The air is cool now. The light has faded, and in the soft blue afterglow, the leaves begin to breathe differently. Their pores, tiny mouths called stomata, close slowly, like eyelids at rest. The day's energy has settled, but deep within each leaf, another kind of movement continues, not of light, but of water. You have already traveled the rivers of sugar, the quiet current of stored sunlight. Now you turn your attention to what carries it, the transparent lifeblood of the plant, the element that connects sky and soil, breath and root. Water, you drift inward again through the veins of a leaf, past the flowing phloem into a thinner, faster channel. Here the water rises, pulled upward by forces both invisible and constant. It climbs not by pump or muscle, but by something simpler, cohesion, the way water holds hands with itself. Each droplet is bound to the next. When one moves, all follow. As the topmost water escapes into the air, the rest is gently pulled upward, an endless thread spinning between earth and sky. You can feel the tension of it, a soft tug, steady and delicate, like a string tuned to the frequency of life. This is transpiration, the breath of plants. It is how the forest exhales. Imagine yourself small again, standing inside a tiny chamber near the leaf's surface. Around you are walls of green light, shimmering with the memory of day. Drops of water glistened like glass pearls along the cells. Some begin to drift toward the airspace beyond, evaporating into invisibility. Each molecule, light as air, slips through the stomata and disappears into the sky. You follow them, rising through the still air, above the canopy. The temperature changes. The world opens into vastness. You become part of the vapor, part of the exhaled sigh of the earth. Billions of other molecules join you, rising from ocean waves, from soil, from rivers, each carrying the faint trace of where it came from. Asterisk. Some smell of salt, some of bark, some of stone. Together, you drift upward, weightless, unhurried. Far above the trees, the air grows thinner, cooler. The water molecules begin to draw close again, touching, clinging, forming droplets. A mist appears, a gentle gathering of what was once breath. Soon, the mist thickens into a cloud, a luminous body of suspended dreams. From here, the world below looks like a map of memory. Forests breathe upward. Oceans shimmer with evaporation. Mountains catch and cool the wandering vapor. It is a slow, ancient choreography, the circulation of the planet's pulse. You realize that the water you ride has no true beginning or end. It has only phases, only forms. It changes costume, but not identity. It is always returning to itself. Within the cloud, the air hums with potential. Droplets merge, separate, collide. Static electricity whispers between them, tiny charges waiting to be released. You feel the weight increasing, a soft heaviness that signals return. Gravity, patient as ever, begins to call. You fall. At first, it is gentle, a slow descent through silver mist, then faster until the world below regains its shape. Trees, fields, oceans, each one opening its hands to catch you. You become rain, asterisk. The sound of rainfall surrounds you, soft, repetitive, hypnotic. Each drop strikes the earth and vanishes into it, absorbed, transformed. Some run along the surface, finding companionship in streams. Some sink deeper, down to hidden aquifers, resting among stones. Others are drawn back to roots, climbing once again through xylem. Returning to leaves, you are part of this cycle now, rising, falling, giving, returning. Every motion is mirrored by another. Every droplet knows the way home. The forest drinks. Roots stretch gently through damp soil, finding pockets of moisture and pulling them close. You follow one rootlet, thin as a thread, reaching into the darkness. Water moves toward it, guided by difference, from where it is abundant to where it is needed. Osmosis, the quiet equalizer. There is no struggle in this movement, only balance, only the soft exchange that life depends on. The water enters the root, passes cell by cell, rising again toward the trunk. It carries dissolved minerals, tiny gifts of the earth, iron, calcium, magnesium, each destined for a particular task. Some will strengthen walls, some will spark reactions, some will rest within fruits. Even the smallest ion finds purpose in this grand circulation. You think of your own body again. Your veins, too, carry rivers. Your cells, too, breathe water. Every heartbeat sends fluid through a network not unlike the plant xylem and phloem. You are not separate from this rhythm. You are an echo of it. The water within you, in your blood, your breath, your tears, was once ocean mist, once part of a storm, once hidden in a seed or a leaf. You are walking condensation, a vessel of recycled sky. When you exhale, you return some of it. When you cry, you release it with feeling. When you sleep, it rises gently from your skin, a nightly offering back to the air. Water, it seems, is the planet's memory made liquid. You sit by a river now, watching the current slide by. Its surface reflects stars, each ripple bending the sky's reflection. You imagine that somewhere upstream, a drop that once lived inside a leaf now passes before you. Perhaps it carried sugar through a tree, or cooled a cloud in summer, or quenched a creature's thirst. Now it drifts onward, seeking its next transformation. Asterisk. The longer you watch, the slower time feels. The flow of the river becomes identical to the flow of thought. Each current passes, leaving only calm behind. You realize that water teaches silence, movement without hurry, change without loss. Night deepens. Mist rises from the water's surface, swirling like breath in cool air. It gathers around the trees, softening their edges, turning the forest into a hut. You close your eyes and listen to the droplets returning to vapor. This is the sound of release, the final sigh of water before it becomes invisible again. You inhale and the moisture enters you, touching the lining of your lungs, mingling with your own inner tide. You are part of the exhalation, part of the breathing of the planet. There is no separation, only participation. Inside the leaf you left behind, the water cycle continues even now. Day or night, the flow never ceases. Roots draw in, leaves give out, and between them lies the column of ascent and descent, the central spine of life. The plant's hydration is not just physical, it is emotional almost. Every droplet it releases makes room for more to rise. Every evaporation creates the pull that sustains motion. Loss here is not failure, it is invitation. It is how the system keeps breathing. You sense the metaphor quietly unfolding. You too must release to remain full. Every exhale makes space for new air. Every letting go becomes a form of nourishment. High above, the clouds you once rode are already forming again. The cycle restarts without pause or announcement. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, rise, gather, return. The simplest of loops, and yet it holds the secret of renewal. You feel the comfort of it, how nothing is truly lost, how all movement is circular. Even endings are beginnings in disguise. Perhaps this is why the rhythm of water soothes the mind. It reminds you that return is a natural law, that after release comes replenishment, that rest is never the opposite of motion, but its completion. The night grows colder. A faint dew begins to form on leaves and soil. Each droplet glistens like a memory reborn. Somewhere, a tree drinks quietly from its roots. Somewhere else, a cloud begins to form. The planet is breathing, and you breathe with it. Asterisk. You imagine your thoughts as vapor, rising, condensing, falling again as clarity. Even the mind has its own water cycle. Each idea evaporates into dream, rains back down as understanding. In this, too, you are connected to the pattern. You lie back and feel the cool air settling against your skin. Every breath you take is part of an ancient exchange. The moisture leaving your lungs tonight may one day fall as rain on a forest far away, nourishing another leaf, another life. The thought soothes you. You are not a single drop, but part of the ocean itself, the ocean of breath, of evaporation and return, of endless motion within stillness. You drift towards sleep, imagining the earth as a vast lung, inhaling clouds, exhaling rain. In your chest, a smaller echo does the same. Your breath slows, your mind quiets, and the boundary between you and the world dissolves. For a moment, you feel the unity of water, its patience, its cycle, its gentleness. It has never hurried, never ceased, only transformed. And as your eyes close, you sense that transformation beginning within you. Breath becoming rest, thought becoming dream, you becoming part of the soft rhythm of the planet's eternal tide. Asterisk.